hello, friends. Uh, Welcome back to the show. Voice of the Horde. This is Neon Poison, your host. We have two special guests for you today. First is Admiral DIT Zel, who's been very busy. Hello, Zel.
What's going on, guys? Pleasure to be back.
All right. Yes, it's his second appearance. Also making his second appearance is Lieutenant General. Is that right? Yes. Lieutenant General HTP Polobot. Hello.
Hello, it's Polobot. How you doing?
Thank you. Welcome back. All right, let's jump right into it. First, we had a lot of changes lately. The first, sovereignty was dropped, and we were working very hard to get the first solve in the universe of Echoes. Let me show you the sort of the certificate from whichever of New Eden News.
Yep.
Let's talk about it. What kind of preparations went into it? Did you guys intentionally go for this award the first, or?
We didn't know if we were gonna be the first in all New Eden, but we did everything that we had like a month and a half planned to have like 2 solve ready for the first day on the first minute, how to make that happen, how to have the interceptor ready in Jita with all the money to buy the blueprint, everything ready at the home station with already an outpost. And we have all this huge plan because we had a lot of stress during that week. We were at war with an internal friend with NSF. So, and the whole war, half of this war was about our system, 9P4 in Geminate, in northern Geminate.
Yeah.
And so enemies already have claimed that system and basically had plans to put Sov like an hour after us if we didn't make it. And the war basically broke 2 days before the Sov update. So even more tension. So the plan had to be perfect, and we made it happen. Like even it was like 32 minutes after the patch came up, the station was cooking. With a character had all the 555 for building station, and the warp point was already ready. So everything was done planned for a month ago.
That's lots of preparations, even in the middle of a war. I was definitely impressed. Zel, do you want to comment on the military side? Like, what did you guys do to help them achieve this?
I mean, when you work with a corporation like HTP, they're a heavily dedicated player base. They have plenty of resources. They're smart. They know how to draw things and get things done the right way. So they made it really easy, right? We had, scouts everywhere. They had the appropriate forces based in a location, so nothing was really going to come through and actually contest the drop or the release once it came out of Anchor. And like Polo said, it was kind of like an important thing for us to get there first, especially in that system, because there were plans from other folks from what we were hearing that they were planning to use that system as kind of a little bit of a pinch point for us, in that war. But fortunately, they got there first and they made it happen. So all the power to them, and a big shout out to Woodchipper for putting that certificate together. That was that was awesome, man.
And one of the big outcome, because we were building this station during the war, it was if your outpost where you're building the station got on hold, the build stopped for 5 days for the whole time. So when the station is on hold, you cannot build anything. And we maintain our outpost at any cost. And we put enemies' outposts into hold. So we delayed their plans for 5 days at least, which gave us a huge outcome.
That was a big advantage. And like I said, when you have a corp like HTP, they're a fun group. They're definitely ballsy, I'll say. But they wanted to cook their station right in in a capsular outpost, something I personally would have, never done. I'm too afraid to put something that expensive in a small little outpost. But they made it happen, and they spent the time protecting it every day, and they made it work. So hey, it was awesome, and it resulted in them getting soft first. So it worked out great.
Yep. Tough. Yep. Yep. With the DH flag. Phew.
Oh, the dead video, yeah, the dead space video. Dude, this this content creator really knows how to pick his music. I love this video.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, something to know here is, I mean, I was live. I control on grid, and one thing that was important is that the F coalition, their allies, Red Sky and a few others, they made
You're dropping, Zel.
free to the field first. And am I breaking up here?
Yes, basically no one saw that on Intel, which is very worrisome. Even us, we know they can. That was on US time zone, and that was the first time they fleeted that much on a non Asian time zone. So usually they were fleeting up to 150 to 100 on non time zone, and right now it's a main gen 10 time zone, and it's not 150 ships. It's 400.
Yeah, can you guys hear me now? Yeah, okay, cool. I don't know at what point that I cut off, but yeah, it was like Polo was saying, it was pretty surprising to see that they. I mean, it's surprising that it's not at the same time, because this Citadel was definitely a challenge that GenFED was making towards DP, or the former DP, and their allies, which now is comprised of NEC, DLT, the F Coalition, pretty much all of their allies, even Han. So it was a challenge to them. It was a bait essentially, and instead of taking the bait late, F played it smart, and they wanted to kill the Citadel, so they got there early with over 460 players holding that grid. I mean, as you can see, there's like 160 battle cruisers alone. This was about 2:30 in the morning in Chinese. Yeah, so that puts us like around. Yeah. This was a big statement. I mean, this was about 10 o'clock in the morning U.S. time zone, 10 to 11. Yeah, which puts that like around 12 in the morning in Beijing, roughly, or 11ish. So yeah, and then they pushed it all the way through till about like 2:30 in the morning for them. So that's a big that's a big commitment, because they took the field at least 2 hours in advance plus. So they Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I was thinking how impressive this commitment was. You know, it's they the way they were able to field so early in advance just showed how much. Honestly, it shows how much hostility they have towards GenFed. So you know, it's you definitely don't want to piss off this new F coalition and how they've consolidated into this one big block. Um, you know, and then at the same time, don't underestimate them. I mean, I'd say GenFed definitely underestimated them by
Yeah,
arriving at the field so late. So
GenFed got one right after. 3 hours after they got a Citadel.
yeah, and I mean, not for nothing. I mean, this is a weak time zone for GenFed, so it's not. You definitely don't want to underestimate them. You know, the fact that they actually got what they got, I was fairly impressed. The odds were fairly even. I want to say because based on what I saw, you know, GenFed between them and QC and their allies, they managed to get at least 400 plus on the battlefield that day. So I was fairly impressed. It was a really good, really fun fight to watch. You know, you got to see I believe GenFed was running an armor doctrine here. I saw a lot of prophecies, a lot of arbitrator covered ops, and a lot of support drone ships that seemed to be armor fitted versus the tornado doctrine, shield doctrine that was coming out of F coalition. They had about 4 nightmares on grid amongst like over 160 battle cruisers, most of them being tornadoes, and then they had a bunch of support stabbers and cruisers on there. And it was just really clear how they were. I mean, in theory, you see how the drone doctrine can get underneath the shields, and that's why everybody vouches for its power. And but the issue was they couldn't get rid of them fast enough. And then on top of that, I think the nightmare shields, even though they weren't really too useful, it was hard for their other support DPS that weren't flying drones to actually get on top of the targets. So, um, you know, and then I don't know. In my opinion, it seemed like armor was really the reason why GenFed lost this fight. They held well. They DPS'd a ton of battle cruisers off the field, and same for F. But you know, F ended up actually taking a lot of the kills off the board here for GenFed for because of their ability to stay to keep tight and keep their alpha just running constantly on the station. And anything that was free fire was free fire for them. They didn't have any shields to deal with. It was all this kind of bad EHP armor. I want to say. I don't know. It was. They seemed pretty squishy. So
Yes.
yeah,
We
you
know
see
that
Wax
guy.
like 300.
Hmm.
He used to be with us. That's a
Hmm.
member of ORC that was one of our fleet commanders for a while, and he left the GenFed with them. Yeah. He's playing with his Doctrine Tornado. He's got a really awesome fit that he likes to play with. There he goes, man. I mean, so Nightmare's function is that of a guardian, like we have, you know, Rupture Guardians and Moa Guardian 2s. Right now, the biggest hit point shield guardian that you can get access to is a Nightmare, and there is no equivalent for it when it comes to armor tanking. If you think about it, there is no battleship armor guardian, you know, that we have access to as players right now. So that was a big advantage point they had. And again, you know, the drone aspect kind of undermines it in a way, but I mean, it was pretty clear that their drones were not able to clear off the field fast enough, and they had relatively even numbers. And in
He cut. Zel is coming back.
gotta love the disconnecting. and, and in that video, you could easily see that they had plenty of anti-drone cruisers lined up to match that. Yeah, the drones couldn't do too much. they were getting slaughtered. Yeah. I think I mean to an extent. I mean in this fight, it was fairly clear that uh, maybe if GenFED brought more prophecies, they could have probably had an equal amount of or greater amount of tank slash DPS to do. I will say they were kind of lower on the battle cruiser end compared to F. But yeah, I mean, if prophecies are what they are to be, and in great number, if we see them, and maybe if with an armor buff, it could easily become a very powerful meta that can destroy shields. There's no way to stop drones from getting underneath your shields unless you have tons of anti drone, but then
Yeah.
meanwhile, it's very difficult mechanically to just sit there and destroy tons and tons of drones. It's not as easy as just shooting ships, right? So
Sure.
Well,
Okay.
on GenFED side, I
Yeah.
think one of their strength, and that's also a strength in GHA, is having people from all over the world in
Yeah.
all time zones.
Yes.
And GenFED managed to scoop a station like 2 or 3 hours after that, a Citadel also. So they got something back out of that. And I don't know if F1 Coalition, and let's see that in the future, if they can form an all time zone at this rate. Because
yeah,
it's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of commitment. And like I know when we ask our pilot to do a lot of CTAs in a row, some people get tired in a mobile game. So
yep.
is this something they can put
And
up
I mean,
on a weekly, on a daily?
We don't know.
you look at right like their past history with DP and GenFed, they were continually just slamming DP. I mean, every morning they were hitting these really early timers to get these holes and get them essentially evicted out of their space. So this was an impressive first strike from F Coalition, obviously.
Yeah.
It's definitely a show of strength, but yeah, as Polobot said, the war isn't over, right? It's just beginning, really. In that capacity, they got to see if they can actually stand the test of stamina and time and dedication it takes to bring something like GenFED down.
Yeah, it's just the beginning, but it was surprising, of course. Like the first comment said, it was surprising. Nobody had that kind of intel, so that was a good preparation on their side.
Right. Let's get to the more about the sovereignty update. It's been a week now, 8 days now. What do you guys feel? Any reactions, feedbacks especially for the devs, because the devs do listen to us and they want the feedback from the frontline, especially FCs like you guys are. What do you? Let's start with Zel. What any reactions so far, or what do you like? What do you not like so far?
Does tie-dye even exist?
Not yet. He Joseph announced yesterday it's not yet, but soon.
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
All right, so that's good to know, because we were under the impression that tie-dye was supposed to be kicking in by now, and I mean that's been a huge aspect here. We haven't really been able to see these kind of fights play out necessarily how we want them to, because of how slow and how laggy the server gets, and we are continually disconnecting, and then you reconnect. I mean, it's to the point now where we will hold, you saw it in GenFED's fight, we'll put heavy interdiction cruisers on our own fleets.
That's what I was going
so
to
that
say.
way, Yeah, so that way folks aren't warping off and warping back in. So I mean it's been an ongoing issue. So that's the first and foremost thing. Other than that, I mean I know GHA is probably in the lead when it comes to how many systems we've taken. As far as SOB goes, I think we have over 16 Citadels that we've deployed in the last week and a half. Which is pretty wild. But it also, I mean, when you actually look at the value of what they're bringing to the table, it's not all there yet. You know, we're trying to hold. We're going to have to try and hold out for hopefully better things to come for these for the amount of ISK and time we're putting into these. Other than having some nice mining spots and maybe a strategic value point where we can actually deploy and house all of our PvP pilots, there isn't too much really of a benefit to have solve. So
Yeah, basically right now it's asset you have to defend more than anything else.
I think we're hearing this huge echo right now.
What? From who?
No, I'm okay.
We're okay. So I did a quick search for tie-dye. Looks like the last official response was that it went live with soft, but didn't optimize it from what they heard. This is today. So, yeah. I mean, and we're looking at the update today, the patch notes. The custom art assets, something I'm involved with. They finally went live. Let me show you guys what we're talking about. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The live. There was a video competition. See the flag, the banners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have our custom banners now.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's from Valhalla. This is a Valhalla Citadel. We designed this. Shout out to Corwin from Red One who helped us with this design. It was, again, goes back to all the way back to the video. Do you guys remember there was a recruitment video competition, and we had a bunch of, we won. We were the biggest winners. We had 5 different corps from GHA who won this thing. So one of the biggest reason why was this, the in-game assets, the in-game art, whatever you call it. But so the prize was that you could have your designs displayed in game. That was pretty awesome, and that's just happened today.
Yeah,
so
that looks so sick. Oh man, do you have one? You should get one of the gate or something. I know I saw Zan's.
Yeah.
Oh man, that looks so awesome.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah. The
more prepared next
customization
time.
aspects are awesome. Oh no, sorry.
That's okay. Again, so for today's updates, have you guys had any? Let's go back to Polobot reactions and or any complaints, suggestions so far for the new.
Okay, so for the today's update, I've just been on, and I think I seen the main thing that I have to work with right now is the bookmark, save the current location and share all the current location. So that's a huge add-on. I have to see, like for moving fleets all around the field. If we get early on the field, we can plant all bookmarks. We can warp the field at one point to another. It's going to change a lot of things, I think.
Yeah.
So I have to get working on that. And for the sub update, for me, the as a FC, the huge thing was the fleet updates. Right now we can fleet up to 51 people with 5 squad of 10 and a FC. With a new recruitment process, we can broadcast fleets. Mm-hmm. So it's not perfect, but it's a huge advance. It's a huge advance.
Yes.
It was something that was long time needed. Like fleet up only 10 people by 10 people was very hard to manage.
For sure.
So now there's still stuff like warp as fleet, warp as a squad, and like maybe in-game chat for the squads and stuff like that. But to me, that's minor compared to what's already brought to the table in this batch of update.
Yeah.
So between this update, last update with that, and this one with the bookmark, I think as a PvP player, I got a lot of stuff to work with already.
For sure.
I mean, even like the
doctrines,
customization.
the feats that are, everything's going way more faster now. Everybody's getting T8 and stuff like that, so everything needs to be working soon.
Yeah.
Being able to also like even simple things like being able to name your fleet or your squads too.
Yes.
You know,
Of course.
with people like me who have OCD and like to have everything very organized. You know, I love that. You know, being able to name each squad and actually separate it out, it makes it a lot easier to organize and get these fleets rolling the right way from the beginning. So. Yeah, that's something really awesome. I gotta say.
Yeah, those are the huge plus with the SOV and the fleet update. And again, the only problem, and I think it's more core problems which are gonna take longer to debug. It's a lag problem because it's been going on and it's not gone and it's still there. And if you have more than 150 to 100 people, it starts happening. And when you have fights of 400 to 600, it's kind of unplayable, really.
Right.
So the game is very fun, and it has to be fun in big scale.
Right.
And I'd probably suggest, or I guess just point out at maybe making sure that we're not getting our fits ripped off anytime we undock. It's something I've also noticed is that I guess that bug came back, but as of today at least, our fits are always turned off when we undock from a Citadel again. So
what?
Oh no!
Yeah.
How does that work?
And when you check your feed, but you forgot to check your rigs. Oh my god, it's so painful.
Yeah, you'll have your rigs deactivated or your modules deactivated. Yeah, so I'm constantly having to, when I undock and I see all my modules deactivated, I have to redock and turn it back on again. And
that's a crazy bug.
So something to keep note, devs, if you're listening.
Yeah.
that one's back too. Oh, and I
my goodness.
Multiple people who tell me that the research bonus isn't live yet too for Citadels as well. So just another note. There you go.
Okay. Okay. So again, for tie-dye, we don't have it yet. It's going to be optimized soon. That's according to the devs. We have dock. How about undocking? There used to be an invulnerable timer, right? When you undock for a few seconds, you're invulnerable. Is that buggy too, or?
No, that's good.
That's still good.
Yep.
Okay. It's just annoying because you have to dock up to reactivate mods.
Autopilot or something.
Okay. All right, devs. I hope you guys are listening. All right. Let's go back again. Things move so fast. We recorded this. I'm gonna put this up as soon as I can, but we were supposed to record this at the end of the war with NSF.
Yes.
So much has happened. Things happen so fast. But let's go back and talk about that real quick. The war, winning against NSF. We did win, and NSF basically disbanded. Let's talk about that a little bit. Polobot, why don't we start with you? Like, how do we do it? What happened? For people who don't know, yeah.
It was a long-going issue. First, I think Zel should go first for the diplomatic part, but at the end of the day, it was like a month of the Discord Warriors issues, and a lot of stuff happened. Too many egos and not too many good ideas. And basically, we faced a coalition, a friendly coalition at first, who were talking charter issues and stuff like that, but it escalated. It was never really enough, and we had an issue over the system 9P4, which is our system. And at the end of the day, a war started, and they took the person who steal from Odin, the player.
Yeah.
They accepted in NSF, so basically, war had to happen. We give them for 24 hours to dock up and get their people ready, because we were each part of GHA 2 weeks before, 2 days before. 2 weeks before, and they just put us red instantly, and they just had a plan. They were ready for day one.
Yeah, I can give some insight a little bit as to the background behind all that. I mean, there's a few things, right? So, like Polo mentioned, NSF, we were in peaceful talks. They were a group that split off from us, and because they had different values and different opinions of how things should go. So we were in peaceful. We achieved a peaceful agreement with some terms, and we were working on ironing out just a few more of those terms until they took on a player named Aubriel, and Aubriel was a thief from Valhalla that stole over about what was it, 80 billion in assets from Valhalla. So obviously, for a newly formed agreement, and those tensions became high, but we didn't start the war over that. It was definitely a factor, because obviously the Valhalla members are going to be mad that all of a sudden this person's blue and suddenly protected. So it's going to be very difficult to stop them from shooting her if they see her flying through space. So this was a move. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, and yeah, so to really turn this around, right? Because I kind of want to separate NSF from the CEO slash executive, which is Black Dogs, and they held a vote to keep peace with us, and he wasn't happy with that. He wanted war from the beginning. He openly admits it, and then so meanwhile, while the peace talks were happening and we're making deals, in the background, Black Dogs is planning the demise of GHA. Essentially, there was screenshots that we found of him who he was talking with our enemies. We got word of our allies who were coming to us and saying that he was reaching out to them to find out, if they would assist him in a war against us. He was talking to. There's a clear screenshots that I posted of him talking to VVV even prior to taking on Aubriel. And when we caught wind of that, we had some wind of that, without proof. But once our allies were saying, "Hey, he's trying to turn on you guys," then we had to just bite it in the bud and say, "All right, we're gonna have to just declare war and get this over with before he, brings all of VVV and maybe their allies to come down and hit us." So that's when the war declaration was made. But it just goes to show, as you could see, we had they had a couple of good fights. They were reinforcing our towers, and that was tough, But we led CTAs to like 3 in the morning to defend them, and they weren't able to successfully kill any of our towers, which demoralized them. And then thereafter, you have the scenario where Black Dogs was exposed. All of those DMs came out. It showed how he was trying to go around what the other leaders in NSF were agreeing to, which caused them to leave. Ultimately, they weren't going to have an executor, and say that they have a democratic voting system, and that executor doesn't stick with that. He makes his own decisions anyway. So it caused a massive fallout to happen, and that's when we saw all those corporations leave, and essentially some of them came back to GHA as well. So that's
it was also because they admittedly posted that they would win the war in 48 hours against GHA, because it was a empty shell, but it was not the case. We stood up and we took them on 24 hours 7 for a week.
Yep.
And they were not on enough time zone. Once again, that's something very, very important. When you're US based, when you're Russian based, when you're Asian based, when you are European based only, you will have time when 80% of your people are sleeping, and that's normal. And you will have time where you're weak and you forget to reinforce one day and you're over. So that's the power of having people online 24/7.
Yeah.
They raided our station the first night. They did a great fight the first day. They reinforced all our station the first night. And the morning at 10 UTC for me, there was nobody from this coalition. And Alpha and me and few other FCs took down so many stations. And and that basically demoralized them. And same, if you have like nobody to defend your miners, and if you only mine in 2 or 3 systems, and if those systems are locked down for a week, a few of your pirates are going to be mad. You have to have longer plan when you go to war. You cannot
Yeah.
just go to war for nothing and without a 3-day plan.
And make sure you have the backing of your other CEOs with you. You know, if you're going to war and calling wars by yourself, then obviously you're going to lose by yourself. And it's funny, those screenshots you were showing.
Yeah.
You know, his opinion that GHA is dying. No,
Right.
I mean, there's
Yeah, he
nothing
said-
like
yeah.
there's nothing
No.
like war that brings people together. Content brings people together.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Completely.
thing
agree.
the thing we lost the most is on both sides because of the Discord dramas. Before, we lost people on both sides. Some people quit the game, some people switch alliance.
Mhm.
Because of this end of the war, some people just left, and that's the worst part between all of this. It's just a waste. We lost like basically a month.
Yeah.
We just lost a month of work and some very, very good relationships which are going to be hard to replace.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that's not content to me. That's not just war for content. That's just a stupid thing. Like, if you
Yeah,
want war
just-
for content,
Yeah.
go with me and we go fight some people that
Exactly.
we're agreed to fight to.
Yeah.
So that's not war for content. And but at the end of the day, we still got a lot of people back. I mean,
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and we were actively trying to talk with people. We never stopped that, right? Like, yeah, did we mess up? You know, we had some issues with our charter. We had some issues with how things were being done. But I will say, the entire time, the people of GHA realized that, and they decided to, instead of forcing the matter or forcing their own way, they took a step back. And I kid you not, today we just had our successful elections where a whole
Yeah.
new executive body just got voted into power. I mean, where do you don't really see that in any other alliance where
No.
where people are willing to give up the reins and give it to the power of
Transition of power.
yeah, give it into a democracy. So that's really what brought people back, and that's really our friendships, our relationships with people, and having fun together, and not taking it always too seriously is also a good factor that we can work on. But overall, I'd say that we did our best to correct the situation, and it turned out really well.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because in the US we had the inauguration today. Everybody, I mean, I was driving in the morning, all the channels were playing the inauguration speech. I mean, this is sort of perfect timing for us too, because we just had, like you said, our new executive council. It's crazy. Like, we're the first one. I've never seen anything like this. We had a democratic vote, and we have a new democratically elected government that's gonna lead us forward. What do you guys think? I know we weren't prepared to talk about this, but what do you guys Polobot, what do you think about this new leadership team, new government style?
well, as a military person and as a Frenchman.
Oh my goodness.
No, I didn't have. I basically didn't have much problem with the way we were going before. So shout out to Bo for everything that he's done. And
the shirt.
I just don't give that. Some people just. No, it's not that I don't give them, because at the end of the day, I did have to
matters.
give them, and I
Sure.
did have to implique. It's like, if you don't care about politics, politics cares about you, and I know that in real life. And I just wanted to pew with friends, and because of people on Discord, some friends had to become red and leave. So now I have to be a little bit more careful about what we do. I basically I don't care that much about the way we go, as long as it prevents us from disbanding that much and so fast. Like
too,
2
me
weeks
too.
before, 2 weeks before, I was not aware that the split was already so huge.
Yeah.
And if I was aware, maybe I would have stepped up a little bit earlier to make things a bit better. Because at the end of the day, for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people on Discord, we lost military power. And this game is about pew-pewing ship with military people. So at the end of the day, it's about how much you can show up on a certain hour, on a certain date, for a certain matter, for a certain cause, and that has to happen in the game and not that much on Discord.
Yeah, and I mean, to follow up with Polo, like you said, we lost, quite a few commanders. We commanders that we were training, commanders that were veterans, So to the new EC, I say, like from a military perspective and my own perspective, right? It's time for GHA to get back to work and catch up, right? We have so many things going on around us. And there's a lot of gaps that we need to fill very quickly in order for us to get back to what we used to be. So I hope that now that this whole political drama is kind of sorted, that we get this stuff done, and get back on the horse and get rolling again.
Yeah, completely agree. It's most of us, we do want to just shoot things. We don't really want all this politics. We're glad that's over.
To defend assets also. That's also the main part.
Yeah. And again, shout out to you guys. Yeah, I normally do shout out at the end, but I'll do it first. Shout outs to you guys for keeping things together, creating content, having the military. That's, to me, a lot more important than the politics. We are at about the 45-minute mark. Do you guys want to do more? We had on the agenda, we had another video to look at, but if you guys are running short on time, we can just skip that.
No, okay, just making a shout out to every pilot and every guy who flies with me or just on regular operation, no matter the time zone. Every guy who takes fleet, every guy who step up, every guy who do roams and pew stuff and defend our base. So shout out to you guys. You make our gates clear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A big shout out to all the hardworking FCs that we have, the people who stepped up, and guys like Polo, right? Our lieutenant generals, Drake, Shot,
Quincy.
Yeah, we have so many people that stepped up and filled in. And we have some new rising people like Manav, we OFD.
Yamani.
That's good to know.
Yeah, Yamani. So these guys are taking the reins and helping out where we need it. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if I would have been able to stick around through all that if it weren't for guys like you guys sticking around and actually starting to help push everything forward again.
We would not be around without you. That's for sure. You and Ella and Storm and Hayu and all the military guys. Thank you guys for everything you've been doing, but especially you, Zel. Appreciate your
I appreciate you guys too. Yeah, it's awesome.
They made us appear weaker than we are, so we have to make sure that we are strong. At the end of the day, it was a 3-day war, a 4-day war that we won. So people have to know that. So we have to make sure that next people who want to try us, we are a bit more confident on our skills too, and on our ability to form up, because we did form up in huge number on a full week.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
If you have to go, you go, and then I'm just gonna I'll play this GHA beaten down but not broken video by Zel. This is from January 8th.
I'll stick around for that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta go back to work here soon, but yeah, I'll stick around.
Okay.
And shout out to Morbid for leading this.
Where is it? Wait, I'm sharing the wrong window. Hold on.
No, that was Morbid operation or mine?
Hold on.
See, that one was... No, that one was me actually.
Hey, Admiral.
Yeah, that was one of my fleets that I took with our Russian partners, our Russian comrades. Shout out to Zakat too.
Shout out to Zakat. Shout out to.
He's an amazing FC.
Can you guys see this? Hold on.
I can see it now, yeah.
Shout out to the IOP guys also. Okay. Shout out to
Omega.
Yeah. Omega, of course.
Nice music, by the way. Love the music.
Yeah, man.
But for
Yeah, I
the
love this
purpose of hearing us, I'm gonna turn it off.
No worries.
What? So
this was
walk
a
us through this.
really-
What's going on? 30 BBB.
So,
Uh-huh.
so there was an outpost, IR-D, that was coming out of reinforcement. This was a multifaceted operation. We had two fronts that we were trying to target on VBB. So Southern Coalition was up in Y-Z-XIO, and we were down south in IR-D. We had two timers that were coming out, so we were trying to pressure VBB enough so that we could actually take both. Oh my god, it was hella fun. We had when you see these blobs come through, it's intimidating, but it's always, I'm always of the mentality of having fun against the masses. It doesn't matter how small or how big you are, I'm still gonna fight you.
Well, here they come.
Yeah, as you can see in the bottom left, we went from we staged about 100 pilots, 115 pilots in our off time. This was a really early timer. I mean, this was like I had to get up at 4 a.m. myself to get to do this one. So
WTF.
but yeah,
I see the local chat.
yeah, the pilots were going insane when on comms when they saw the 180 BBB show up, and they had some F1 in there. I think that this was before we had established things with them, but so we got there early. We definitely wanted to get there first, and we just wanted to get as many kills as we could, and that's what we did until we got forced off the field. Our job, my fleet's job, I told Zakat that he should stay in the back and continue to snipe as many as he could, and we'll post a little bit closer so that way we could kind of distract them and give him an opportunity to just rack up the kills. And as you can see, I mean, we were just melting these guys.
Yes, that was melting time.
That's awesome. And I recognize a lot of these names.
Yeah, me too.
As you can see, the swarm starts coming in. I'm like, oh shit, we gotta get out of here.
Here they come.
So,
so I learned a lot today. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I learned that Nightmare is the best tank, and which is Nightmare again for EO players. That was one of my favorite ships for incursions, like PvE uses. We never use it for PvP. But glad to know that it's fun. That's played in Echoes.
Yeah, in Echoes, it's definitely a different ship. I never thought of. I mean, back in my day, like you said, when I was playing EO, it was just simply a really good ratting ship.
Yeah. So who knew it? Wait, what's going on here? You guys are so stupid with a bunch of. Oh my goodness, that's the racist comments that we. Oh my goodness.
So
that's so racist.
I pointed this out because Polo. I mean, Polo was a victim of this too, and he sent this to Polo. He sent this to several FCs.
What?
A guy from BBB, and they call us racist, but then you have guys like this. I mean, we throw good fights in local. We throw salutes in local, but then you have this guy, these players that are just continually trash talking us like this. I'm like, come on, man.
I mean, there's different ways to trash talk, right? You could. I don't know. You don't have to go the racist route.
he was going deep into it, and it's something I've been trying to point out to VVV. We don't harbor this kind of racist attitude towards them. And I've talked with their diplomats, and I'm like, hey, just get control of your player base, because we don't want to encourage this kind of toxicity in the community. It's not healthy, and at the end of the day, this is just a game, and we're here to have fun. Don't throw those kind of comments into each other's faces, and try and stir up something more than what it really is. So I think most of us here come here to escape from the real stuff that happens in the world anyway.
Right.
So let's leave it there.
Right. Yes, Paul.
That's why when people get overheated on democracy and charter, I like the lore, and I like to make a good place for everyone, of course, but some people get way too overwhelmed by some Discord message, and everybody needs to remind that it is a game,
Yeah.
and it is a bunch of people playing a game and making stuff on their free time for fun. So just keep that in mind. Where
Yeah.
some people take this thing very seriously.
Yep. If you're losing your ship and it's not reimbursable, just step back, take a breath, put the phone down. You're ready. Go take a shower or something.
That's funny.
And then come back to it. It's not worth it.
The racist part is the funniest thing. Like, we've been through 2 wars now, at least grand scale wars, and both of them have involved some sort of racism claims. On the first one, we were like the victims of just false claims, and then on this one, we are on the receiving end of racist claims. It's funny how like you said,
game. It's more a troll thing than a real racist thing, I think, and I hope
so. Yeah, like Sal said, a lot of us are here to escape that real life drama and chaos. Here,
I mean, you're not going to see that. Everybody's able to do things easier on a keyboard, obviously, versus real life.
For sure.
Like you said, we've shown that you got all sorts of culture here in GHA. We have a huge Russian player base. We have a huge Chinese player base. EU, US, French. I mean, you can't. The proof is there. So I'm not really going to get into that. But
yeah. And we have the first.
You won't really be able to find like a family like you can with GHA, and that's why
that's for sure.
That's why I stick around, at least, is because of guys like Polo and and like we said, Zakat and Omega. He's a Chinese player. These are all friendships that I've made here. And I don't think I would have made them anywhere else.
For sure. Polo, any other final thoughts? Shoutouts?
Shoutouts to everybody who's still playing the game in Geminate, in GHA, and in Cash, and we're gonna make this. We're gonna make this great again.
That's awesome. Well said. So, any
shout out to the new EC.
All right.
I hope you guys are ready to get to work. And again, thank you to all the commanders and folks who have supported, not just me, but everybody Reva, KON, you guys. There's so many people in the background that are working hard to have kept us together, and even guys like you, even Neon here, we all work together really well.
Yes.
So shout out to all of you guys.
Thank you. I need to shout out to our new Chinese language podcast.
Yeah.
On the next issue, we are talking to some folks from my EVE Online, Gloomsworn team who are Chinese speakers. They were gonna give us some interesting perspective on what they see as what's going on in Echoes and what's going on in EO, our parallel universe. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for joining us. That was awesome.
Thank you.
And fun. Yes, come back again.
All right, looking forward to it. Thanks, Neon.
Thank you guys. All right, see you.